Welcome to the Autospeed podcast, home of stock car and banger racing in the southwest.
Drivers, start your engine.
Love the vans.
Brilliant!
Warm in here, I can see why you don't seem so keen to get off home.
A lot of people would just probably hear 2 or 3 words and switch it off anyway.
Welcome to the Autospeed podcast. I'm Crispen Rosevear. In this week's episode, I will be joined by commentator Johnnie Adams as we reflect on the meeting at the United Downs Raceway St Day on Sunday the 26th of March. Those who have heard Johnnie on the mic will know that he is not short of a word or two, so there is plenty to discuss, beginning with the unfortunate injury suffered by BriSCA Formula 2 driver Richie Andrews when he crashed out of the feature final. An extrication was required, which led to a lengthy delay. For clarity, it is worth making outstandingly clear the delay related to the wait for an external ambulance to attend the scene. Daft comments that any delay was in any way connected to the time taken by the extraction team to remove the roof of the 605 car is ill-informed and just downright untrue. Having made the call to request an external ambulance, the on-site medics waited accordingly before deciding to proceed with the extrication in the same way that such a process has been carried out a number of times previously by trained officials working in unison with the medical team. Whilst it's never pleasant for a driver to have to be taken to hospital, it was most heartening to receive praise and thanks from Richie the following day when he was released from hospital, and these details can be found on the Autospeed website. Accordingly, we wish Richie well on his recovery. For now, let's find out what Johnnie, who commentated on the meeting, thought of the afternoon's events. So John, the meeting on Sunday, obviously a little bit disappointing to have an injury with Richie Andrews there in the Formula 2, but slightly better news in the longer term. You know, a couple of days later, Richie sent us a really lovely message, and good to see that he's high spirits, keeping well and on the mend.
Yeah, Rich is a very popular driver. Get on very well with him. One of the first to, congratulate him on turning out a lovely looking car for the season. He had high hopes, did a lot of laps in pre-meeting practice, the 2 practice meetings at Smeethorpe and United Downs, looking forward to a good season. And then Smeethorpe meeting, the first one of the season, seemed to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, all meeting. And then Sunday, my God, that was absolutely frightening. But, as always with Richie, comes out smiling. Picture of him in hospital, big smile on his face, baseball cap on, even though he must be really in pain. That's the mark of a good driver. That's the mark of a top man.
Yeah, as you say, very popular, I think, with all the other drivers. Very popular, just popular all round, really. Just such a decent guy, you know.
Yeah, I think with Autospeed particularly, not so much with other promotions, it's like a big family. And when one of that family gets injured, I think we all feel it. And we was in race control, and we all cringed when he went in.
Yes, yeah. We had all too good a view of a pretty horrible crash.
Yeah, but that stock car racing, yeah, there's a big delay obviously, which probably spoiled things for some people. But I was talking to the steward at the meeting, and I said, when then drivers got out the cars, when they were told it's going to be a long delay, do you get out the groove? Because you're in the groove for those laps, just getting going, and then there's a stoppage. How hard is it to get back in the groove? And then every time you come to a corner, do you think something bad like the throttle's going to stick open, or are you going to do the same as the driver who's just been taken off an ambulance? It must go through your mind a bit. Does it affect anybody? But clearly not James Rygor.
No. Well, we'll come back to the Formula 2s a little bit later. I think with our review of Sunday, I'd like to start with very briefly having a quick look at the Micro F2s. I thought that on Sunday there were a lot of youngsters that were very, very determined, and some of the newer ones were getting to grips with it. I always find it fascinating to see someone so young at the wheel of a machine, and it must be a wonderful thrill for them to think, I'm in charge of this car, and for them to sort of build up their skills and build up the confidence and learn how to go racing. I think it's not an exciting formula to watch. Let's not kid ourselves. It's not there as much in the way of entertainment, but in terms of bringing those really young drivers on before they move on to something else, I think it is serving a purpose.
Well, I think we're going to cover it when we come to the minis. I think certain drivers have gone from that formula to the next generation of formulas, but I always enjoy the fact that after the final they generally get a lap of honour. Obviously Sunday we couldn't do that because of the time factor, but when you actually see how young the boys and girls are and the crowd can see, because one thing seeing a fella in a crash helmet or a lady driving around that track in the car with a crash helmet, hands device overalls on, you don't appreciate the age until you actually see them coming around on that lap of honour. And little angels, I always make a point saying little angels every single one, but when you think of the age, 7 to 11 year olds, it is incredible. And yes, as you say, it may not be the spectacle of other formulas, but some of the skills them fellas have got. I mean, I don't want to say too many names because that's unfair, but Billy Rice, I interviewed him last season, I think, because obviously son of Paul Rice. But he's such a cheeky little chappy, but his driving ability, every meeting, it gets better and better and better. And he did lead one of the races on Sunday, completely on merit. It was good, and he was actually walking away with it. I think he tripped over a back marker towards the end, but yeah, very impressive. But there's other drivers. One driver rolled in pre-meeting practice. Was that 117 or 119?
119, Jamie Berry.
Yeah, that's right. And straight out, back out on the raceway again. And won a race, did he not?
He certainly had some good results when he came back out, didn't he? Yeah.
That takes something. That really takes some spirit and takes some guts and nerve to do that. How many 7 to 11 year olds will be able to do that?
Yeah. No, I agree with you completely. I think that if you do invest a little bit of time into watching them, there are some really positive points that you can take from it, and you can certainly see the progression of a youngster that's gone from tentative first few laps to really get into grips with it, and that's interesting to watch, I think.
But the other thing I like, which has now carried on into the minis, is almost equal amount of girls and boys in the formula.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think since the Micro F2s have been with us, there's been an increase in girl drivers in the minis.
Yes.
And it teaches you that track craft, I think. Before, I think the only option was go-karting, which I know a lot of drivers have gone that way and then gone into an oval formula. But I think this misses out on the go-karting, because go-karting, although similar, you're very low to the ground and very quick. Micro F2s, you're going the way round the way you want to go round. You know, so you're not going to pick up bad habits. You're going to go straight from that formula into a more senior formula with that track craft in your mind. And I think that is really now paying dividends when you look at the quality of driving in the minis.
So moving on to the Ministox, and that includes one of the most recent graduates from the Micro F2s, Mason Seeley, and he really did stand out on Sunday in the very first race of the day for the minis. Lined up at the back of the grid as a novice, and although the race had some stoppages and caution period suspensions, so on and so forth, he still came through to finish third, and that was only his second ever Ministox meeting.
Yeah, the sort of the lap handicap for the new drivers, I personally think is a very, very good idea. But as you say, that really does show the class of the fella. Not being funny, but we did expect great things. Because if your surname's Seeley, on an oval track, you're going to do well. And yeah, very, very good in the Micro F2s. As was other drivers, and I'm not being critical, but we had a driver, Bo Jeans, very, very good in a BriSCA Micro F2, and then has gone into banger racing. Now, fair enough, that's what you want to do. But somehow I think, is that the right decision to make? Not for me to make, of course, but is that the right decision to make when there's so many good formulas? And Seeley, bless him, Mason Seeley, is, well, that is like so natural in a mini. And then, of course, going back to other members of the family, I know we've touched on BriSCA Formula 2, but Leah Seeley, I mean, come on, if your surname's Seeley. But no, very impressed with that, very impressed. And what's going to happen when he starts off the front? Or is he, because he accumulate enough points
Well,
to
he
go
will
straight
have,
to yellow?
if you think about it, he's got one more meeting to go from the rear, which I guess will be Good Friday. And then by the time we get to Easter Sunday and he's off the front of the grid, we probably won't see him until the checkered flag comes out.
No, that's the thing.
He might have a really good day on Easter Sunday. Not that he didn't have a good day on Sunday just gone. But again, I thought that the minis were very competitive on Sunday. Good numbers, 20 drivers, lots of fabulous cars that have been refurbished over the winter, looking really smart. 5 new ones at the back of the grid. Formula's in rude health. It's very good.
I know that we shouldn't have favourites, and we don't have favourites, but we do tend to keep our eye on certain drivers. And Katie Butcher was so unlucky. She led 2 races. She was leading by over half a straight, and then there's a stoppage, and all the field comes together. Then she made the restart and did the same thing again. She deserved it. Did she deserve a win or did she not? I know we shouldn't have our favourite, but she did. She must have said to herself, and the family must have said, my God, what has she got to do to win a race?
Well, I think
that was so impressive.
I think the one thing about Katie is that if the next time we get to United Downs and there's a pile of charcoal and we've got no yellow flags, we're going to know who to look for first because, as you say, the yellow flags robbed her of what would have been even more sensational results. In the end, she came home 3rd in the Ministox final, which is her best result yet, and she's definitely going to have a couple more really good meetings, you'd imagine, for the front of the grid.
But the great thing about what I like about the minis is she got a 3rd, and both the other 2 drivers, Alfie Flecken
and Christina Sullivan
straight over to her, and Christina gave her a very big hug.
Yep.
And it means the world to those drivers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the formula is all about. Another driver I always like to mention, another Marmite character, if you like, Cody Bradford. A man who drives, he can drive, but he's good. He always says what he's feeling. He's great to interview because, being a Bradford, I suppose, but he's always got something to say, but he's always got a smile on his face. And when he's on the track, he's a force to be reckoned with. Then you've got Alfie Tonkin, who is our points champion, Silver Roof, who's so quiet and reserved, but on the track, 2 completely different drivers. One gobby, I mean that in the nicest possible way, and one very quiet and laid back. But on the track, they're equals, and that's great to see.
The technical term there, I think, is garrulous. There's one for you dictionary fans.
Yeah.
So as you say, Cody always full of some chat and very, very talkative. Alfie a lot quieter.
Yeah.
But it takes all sorts, and I
Let's
think
not take anything away from anybody else. I'm not just picking on those 2.
No, of course
I mean,
not.
the formula as a whole never fails to entertain, whether it be at United Downs or whether it be at Smethorp. It is very, very entertaining. And these drivers, when they finish minutes, a lot of them will go into the better bigger formulas, Formula 2 stock cars, saloon stock cars, as we know with the derbies, and really carve a name for themselves. These are our future champions. This is what I always try and say over the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, these are our future world champions, British champions, points champions.
Indeed, if you look at drivers that have done minis and gone on to be world champion, you could think of Michael Allard, the current saloon stock car world champion. You can think of Rob Speaker, raced BriSCA minis.
Eddie Darby, of course.
You can think of Eddie Darby. You can think of Alistair King, who was BriSCA Formula 2 world champion. He had a long time in the Ministox as well. So definitely a good training ground for when they move on.
And I think the younger formulas, the younger people's formulas, with Autospeed. It's a very healthy situation at the moment. I mean, at Smethorp particularly, you get a lot of BriSCA Micro F2s. You get a lot more minis because of
just the location.
Location, of course. But both of those formulas, I think, are very healthy, in very good hands at the moment, and everybody is adhering to the rules. You might step out like once, told off by the steward or yourself. Don't make that mistake again. And yeah, it's great to watch.
It is good.
You know,
So-
back in the day when there was a formula, not so keen on that. But now there isn't a formula, because all the formulas deliver the goods. And people moan sometimes, oh, BriSCA Micro F2s, who wants to see 7 to 11-year-olds? And yet we sit in race control and you see the same people who say that looking avidly at the racing and applauding when they come round on that runner.
Which is good. Which is good.
It is, yes, it's very good and very encouraging.
Okay, so back to Sunday and onto the back to basic bangers. They, you know, as the advert for Ron Seal used to say, does exactly what it says on the tin. I think that back to basics, the spirit and the general ethos of the drivers is exactly what you want. Get a car, go and have a laugh. Don't worry who wins, and then just go out and have a fun time.
Well, to back that up, I remember talking to. God, yeah, mine's got
Talk
blank.
amongst yourselves, everyone. It will come to us in a moment.
Yeah, and Basil, as he's known as Basil, 247 Sparksy, of course, when he started, we was chatting, and I said, how you finding first season, how you finding back to basics? He said, I love it. He said, but if I come out, and I take the last lap board with 1 lap to go, he said, I don't want to win it. He said, it's not about the winning. He said, I'd rather hit the fence or hit someone else so I don't win it, because it's not about the winning, it's about the fun. And Sunday proved that, although Sparksy wasn't racing. But everybody in the pits before the start were having a laugh and a joke.
Yes.
And then you always going to get something unusual. There was two Mitsubishis, a Mitsubishi Colt and a Mitsubishi Korean, another Mitsubishi, Jack Gill had a Charisma. Yeah, Mitsubishi Charisma, strange name. So there's always something unusual racing. And remember early in the season when someone had a smart car.
Yes, last year with Grant Harris in the smart
Grant
car.
Harris, I mean, fantastic. People look and think, what the hell? He went out on a race with that car, and he went out in the DD.
Yeah.
I mean, you do not know. There's no standard issue car. You see a Focus arrive in a national banger formula. I think, oh yeah, Focus are going to win, or in other formulas. But when you get a back to basics Focus, no guarantee it's going to win. No guarantee it's going to win. All right, maybe Sunday they did, but you never know. Someone's going to find something unusual.
But that was Grant Harris that was having such a good day on Sunday. He's fast becoming the king of the back to basics.
Grant
really.
Harris, right attitude. Yeah, he was the standout driver, I think. Well, one of the standout drivers from Sunday. The car looks like he picked it up that morning. I actually made a quip to the stewardess saying, the owner of that car probably hasn't even realised it's gone yet. It was so clean. Still had the number plates on it. Didn't have a number fin on it, so he cut the roof up and bent the roof up and wrote his number on. Proper back to basics banger. Goes out. How many did he win? 2? Did he?
I think he was second in the first race. He won.
Yep.
Then he won the next race, and then they had that brilliant race in the final with number 56 with Michael Collicott.
He was another standout driver from Sunday, and the spirit in that formula, and it's excellent. It's very competitive. You don't have someone, I can't hit him or I won't hit him. Everybody gets stuck in.
Yes.
And was it Beresford in the Mitsubishi Colt? Again, a strange card. I haven't seen too many of those races, but very, very competitive. But then he decided to mix it as well as the actual racing, and actually what goes around comes around, or whatever they say. It did end up in the fence rather hard, but yeah, you never know what's going to win. And then you get the little car like a Mitsubishi Colt and a Zafira racing side by side. But you can't say, well, he's on a handicap because he's in a Zafira, because it's not. Because I mean, some of them Zafiras, they go really well. It's very entertaining to see so much variety of cars.
Variety of cars, yeah.
And again, the cost of national bangers, as we all know now, is absolutely off the scale. Rookies, unfortunately, going the same way. They're almost like miniature hot rods, and I'm not knocking the formula. It's the way it has developed. But back to basics, I've been a fan from the start, and yeah, it's a shame you can't get more back to basics unlimited, because they're just not the cars anymore. But yeah, unlimited back to basics to me is a great formula.
Yeah.
Really, really is.
That's good. And then
Thoroughly enjoyed that.
And then finally on Sunday we had the Formula 2s, and as you mentioned there earlier, James Rygor, without question, was the star of the day.
He was former world champion, of course, and I remember interviewing him when he was defending the world championship for the programme. Found the gentleman to be very easy to talk to, very knowledgeable, very enthusiastic. Managed to talk to him before the meeting on Sunday, because at Smethop a couple of weeks previous, first time out in the new car, he said on Sunday that he'd been lazy, hadn't put the laps in on practice meetings, a bit rusty. When he raced the car at Smethorpe, it was a handful, made a couple of adjustments, and on Sunday he was on it. He was back to his old self. And I did ask him, was there going to be a quest for the world final this year, to qualify for the world final? I think that's what he's got in his sights.
Yes, I think that there's, with the world final being in Northern Ireland, there'll be those that will show less interest this year because they don't fancy making that trip. But there's plenty of others who definitely are targeting either being in it or, as you say, someone like James Rygor being in it to win it.
Yeah.
Know? So,
and to see, no disrespect to the Irish at all. I remember they used to come down to Smethorpe for the world final. It was great to see them, so many turn up, and the enthusiasm, and indeed the Scots. But for an English fella to go to Northern Ireland and win is going to be something.
That would be an achievement.
And the way that's a Luke Wrench car, of course, that Rygor's using. And wow, I think Luke would be pretty impressed with the way he was driving that. That car was on rails. And that was, see, going back to Smethorpe again, I know I keep harking on about, but Smethorpe 2 weeks ago, it was wet. And some drivers can handle the wet, some drivers can't. Joe Markham was absolutely amazing in the wet at Smethorpe.
Yes.
I was talking to that shy retiring Mike Priddle bloke before the start of the meeting on Sunday. And I said, who's your money on to win? And Joe was one of those that we did think
maybe
was going to be there, because he's won the Voice of Autospeed trophy twice before.
Yes.
No reason why he couldn't win it third time. But even he was he was just completely outclassed by Rygor.
At this point, we can break off to rewind back to Sunday afternoon, when our latest roving reporter, Zoe Simpson of #LoveF2s, was able to speak with James Rygor after his comprehensive victory in the Voice of Autospeed Trophy final.
So then, race fans, on Autospeed, as part of the podcast and on #LoveF2s, we are multitasking here at St Day today. I am joined with our final winner, and that is, of course, James Rygor. So 3 out of 3 today, obviously 2 finals, 2 heats rather, and obviously the final, which is the Voice of Autospeed trophy. So a really nice trophy to take home today. You must be chuffed.
Yeah, I don't think I haven't won it before, so it's good to try and get your name across all of them eventually. So yeah, winning a final is always good. So yeah.
It certainly has. You had a cracking day today, haven't you? You're doing really well.
Yeah, I was rubbish a couple of weeks ago. So you know, you can get sad with a sport as quick as you can get happy. So you just got to keep going.
Yeah, because talk us through. They've had a brand new wrench car. Is that right?
Yeah, I had a new car. And then I didn't go practicing, which is probably my own, through no time and just being a bit lazy. So the last meeting there was teething problems, and yeah, just spent a bit of time this week, and then it's going like my old car now, so it's all right.
Yeah, I'm going to say the car looks fab. We've just obviously, shown it on the video to #LoveF2s fans to watching this. So, to get it right, it does take a bit of tinkering with, doesn't it, sometimes? It's not straight out the box and off you go. Yeah,
they're very finicky, so, you only need the brakes not quite be right, or just things not quite exactly as they are, and you can't, it doesn't matter how good you are, if your car's not going right, you won't win, so the car's got to be going for you to get anywhere, really. Mm-hmm.
Well, you've had a brilliant meeting today. The car looked fast, you were on pace, and you just got out. I mean, obviously we had a bit of the final was a bit drawn out with the incident with Richie Andrews, and we hope that he's all okay.
Yeah, it's cutting the cab off's bad, and like I say, you've got a bit of neck issues. Hopefully he's all right. So hopefully it's more precaution than injury.
Yeah, let's hope so. And looking forward to obviously the start of the season now, which is well underway. What are your plans for this year?
I'm gonna get on the other tyres, obviously, like we all got to now. As long as I can get the car going competitively, I'm gonna try and do all the tarmac qualifiers. Ironically, I'm not at Hennisford where the car wasn't very good the other day, so I'll do the others and just. I can take it or leave it, so if I've got family commitments, I'll do something else, but I am going to try and do a bit more.
Okay, fantastic. Would you like to get into the World Final this year?
I went to Ireland last year and enjoyed it over there. I liked the track and I had relatively good pace. Mendips is my most local track where generally I can, get going okay. So, like I say, if I can try and get up the grid, wouldn't say I'm going to win it, but I could at least put myself in a sensible position, possibly.
Mm-hmm. And obviously we've got the People's Trophies coming up in May. Is that something that you'll be taking part in at Skegness and at Bradford?
Not Bradford, but I'd try to go to Skeg.
You could take this car to Bradford. Lou Wrench has done it before.
He's keener than me.
And looking at the fixtures, is there anything that you're really looking forward to? Anything that you'll definitely be doing apart from trying to get into the World Final?
No, to be honest, I hadn't looked. I don't look past one meeting. So,
right, okay.
I'll finish today and then the next race week will be, Easter weekend where I'm going to do 2 meetings. So, yeah, I don't.
So very relaxed about it, really.
Yeah, I'll just take it as it comes each meeting and then just plan for the next one, really.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic stuff. Well, 3 out of 3 for today. That's not bad at all, is it?
No.
How do you think you'll get on with the Grand National?
Unless there's a yellow flag, I'll have no chance. So if the grid closes up, I feel like I've got good pace, but if it doesn't get a yellow flag, then I'll be pissing in the wind.
Fantastic. And next meeting then, definitely, are you be at the Easter weekend?
Yeah, Mendips will qualify. I'm not doing Good Friday. I'm away, so yeah, my plan to do Easter Sunday at Mendips and then Taunton Monday.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Well, we wish you all the best for the Grand National. We'll see how you get on. And obviously the best for the rest of the season.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well done.
Cheers.
Thank you. So there we go then, race fans, for Autospeed on the podcast. That is James Rygor, who has won 2 heats and our final here today at St Day. So we hope that you've enjoyed the Autospeed podcast even. Put my teeth in. From Zoe from #LoveF2s. Over and out.
The other driver that will stick in my mind from Sunday was Adrian Watts, who won the Cornish, the hamper of Cornish goodies. And going back to your point about it being an Autospeed family, I think that you could barely have picked a more popular winner of that. He's a very popular guy with the rest of the guys in the pit area.
It's like when we do the Grand Parade, I always like to have a chat with 1 or 2 drivers because they're gonna voice up the sport but that man is always smiling. His car, again, no disrespect to him, there's no proper sign writing on it, it's just a proper budget racer and he's always smiling, always got something funny to say, and you just will him to win
and you warm to him.
You do, and the fact that he's a larger lad, the hamper probably went down very well.
It did. A popular winner for sure.
Yes,
I think,
indeed.
as you say, we're not supposed to have favourites.
No.
But there is definitely others. There's definitely people you wish them to do well, and Adrian Watts would feature heavily in that category.
But this is what I like about the grade awards system, full stop, because it does give lower graded drivers an incentive to race, particularly the white graders. I mean, I've been there myself. Never got any further than the white grade, but it's that little incentive, and it's the promotion or the sponsors giving something back to the lower graders, because there's some people who win all the time and they get used to winning, and it's nice to give something back. I did feel sorry for Matt Linfield though, because he did a lot of miles to Smeethorpe and had a pretty poor day a fortnight ago. Did a lot of miles to race with us on Sunday, and again didn't have the best of luck, but it's good to see the visiting drivers. Obviously there was a World Championship qualifier up in the Midlands, so we were short on 1 or 2 of our regulars, but it was still a good day's racing. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think Bill Daly I know you've covered Bill in a previous episode, but I think Bill would have looked down with that with a big smile on his face, bless him.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that's a fine point to leave it on. We've had St Day, we've had our first meeting at Smith, our first meeting at St Day. On the horizon will be Easter. That's going to be a busy time. Well, John, thanks for joining us on this episode.
My pleasure, absolutely enjoy. Always enjoy chatting with you, Crispen. It's good fun.
No doubt we'll be talking some more as the season goes along.
Yeah, look forward to that.
Thank you, John.
All the best.
Thanks to Johnny for his outlook on last Sunday's meeting at the United Downs Raceway St Day. In next week's episode, we will be previewing a very busy Easter period, 3 meetings in 4 days. Do join us then, when episode 8 of the Autospeed podcast will be aired on Thursday, a day earlier than usual, just ahead of that hectic Easter weekend.
If you've enjoyed Autospeed Podcast, home of stock car and banger racing in the Southwest, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell for future podcasts.